everything is going well. I have had a busy morning and enjoyed it very much. I'm just getting up something that I forgot to tell you about last week, so I've got a little flyer on my second screen here, and I will get that up for you in just a moment. So, how's your day going? It feels like fall here in the 60s, and it was very overcast all morning, but just a few minutes ago, the sun started to shine. And may I say, I love sunshine. Harley even went outside and did a little sunbathing on the deck. I have a dog who loves sun. And the warmer the deck, it's that Trex material. The warmer it is, the happier he is until it gets too hot, and then he comes inside. So he had a lovely, hi Gladys, good to see you. He had a lovely time out there sunbathing. I don't see any tan. He still is a yellow lab, not a brown lab. Anyway, let's see. There were several things that I didn't tell you last week or remind you about. But first, how are you, Gladys? Are you doing well? What's the weather like there? You have good weather with sunshine and not too much warmth? And no storms, I hope. So I've got my cup of coffee because, as I said, until just a moment ago, it was overcast and cooler. I don't think it's going to get over 65 today, but that's okay. It's a nice fall temperature. 84 and sunny. My goodness. Boy, if I lived there, I'd still have my little air conditioning units out. So that's what I've been up to. Yesterday I looked at the forecast, and for the next week or so, it looks like it's going to be in the 60s. Pretty consistent, with some rain here and there. Hi, Cindy. How are you? How's the smoke? Are you doing okay? I know those fires just didn't look good on the news today. I'm not going to complain about 60s because I think it's very nice. Although, probably in the middle of summer, 75 I think is perfect. But 60s is comfortable. So yesterday I was telling you I was going to take out so in the Pacific Northwest, until late the last few years, it's been not too bad in the summer, but we've had some 90-degree days, and we're just not used to that. We kind of melt. And a lot of places that were built before the 90s or the 2000s don't have air conditioning. So I bought 3 little air conditioning units over the last 4 years. One for my bedroom, one for Cindy, 92. Oh, too hot. I'd have the air conditioners going. I would. And the blinds closed so the sun couldn't heat up my house. Anyway, I've got one in the craft room here. And then this year I put one down in the living room, which used to be the family room before I decided to rearrange this summer. And so I looked at the forecast and thought, I was going to leave them up until mid-September, and it's close enough. And so I started taking them apart to put away, and I realized that the closet they were in is where I put all the cat supplies while I was trying to nurse my 2 cats. So I had a little cleanup to do. And then I did all the drawers in that closet, and the closet looks good, I got to tell you. And then that led to, there were a few things that needed to go into my closet because I put some summer clothes in there, which I, of course, forgot about. Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, Cindy, with your weather, everyone would have to have air conditioning. They're building the new houses now. I think all the new houses have air conditioning up here. But I have a house that was built in the 70s, so no air conditioning. And I did look into the price, and it's way too expensive. It was crazy. And it would be a redundant heating system also, so I just couldn't see it. Back to my closet. So that led to cleaning out my closet drawers. And you know what happens when you do, oh, hi, Lori, good to see you. You know when you have closets and you go from one to the next, and then you make a huge mess all over the bedroom because everything has to go somewhere. Anyway, I got a lot of stuff to get rid of. And no, Lori, I'm not going to come clean your closets, but thank you for the offer. I still have more closets to clean. Anyway, it feels good to have them all cleaned and looking nice, but it was like an all-day project. And at the end of the day, right before dinner time, I got the 3 air conditioning units put away. Whew. Boy, it was work. Okay, on to what we're supposed to be talking about. I was just wanted to share that one. Here we are. World Card Making Day is on October 5th. And Stampin' Up! I'm going to get the one I can read because on my little screen, that doesn't show up very well. It's October 5th from 2 to 3 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 1 to 2 our time. Yeah. Oh, my goodness, some things are just hard. Time conversions would be one of those things. And then for that hour, Stampin' Up! It's free, first of all. Absolutely free, no cost. Just go on the Stampin' Up! Website and register. You'll get all kinds of wonderful information. And that little QR code, if you take a picture of that and then use another device, you can scan that and get right in and register really quick and easy. But it's always a fun activity. And it's for everybody. It's for beginning stampers and stampers with lots of experience. It is also for those who aren't really sure they want to stamp. It's to get inspired. And I think we get to see some new product usually when Stampin' Up! Does things. And you know me, I do like to see the new things. Okay, well, I'm going to go down to, that's all I have. Oh, that didn't work. There we are. See, there's my coffee, black coffee. I'll put it on my little heater. We are going to, I have got so much stuff here because I forgot everything last week because it was such a hard card. I was just glad that it went off so well last week. So I've got from the Facebook Live, nobody commented and nobody shared on YouTube. So we have, for comments on Facebook, I picked 2 because I had 4 cards. So I have 2. So Gladys, you get a card kit for commenting. And Shirley gets a card kit for commenting. Then sharing, I've got Cindy Walker and Cindy Howard. That's what happens when YouTube doesn't come through. I pick extra for us here on Facebook. I am going to try again one of these days. I'm going to get brave and try to do both together, the YouTube and the Facebook Live. But for right now, it scared me. It was mean to me. So we're just sticking with Facebook for a little bit. Let's see. This is, oh, you know what? I'm not going to want that. I'm using this to kind of help me decide where to stay. So I'm just going to tape it down. I know. Probably not the best way to do it, but tape that down so it stays in place. We are going to use the Regal Flora. I had another plan in mind. I really wanted to do that card that had the Charming Duck Pond and figure it all out. And I did figure it out. I just didn't figure it out very well. And I haven't figured it out well enough to actually show you how I actually made it work. Because finally at the end, I just folded something to make it better. And it does work. I'm going to show it to you at the end. So we're using Regal Flora today. And now the Regal Flora Suite is amazing and has the most beautiful paper. But I decided, I always use DSP and I don't always stamp a lot. And it just seemed to me that it would be a lot of fun to do a little stamping. So we are stamping today, not using Designer Series paper. We are going to use the leaf, the triple flower, and the splotch. Because there's nothing nicer than a good splotch. Then we're going to use the dies. We're using this as a decorative die, and we're going to use, this is all one die. Nope, I didn't do it in the, so it cuts out both pieces. You could, if you wanted to put them together, you could take and maybe emboss on this. I chose not to today. So we'll see what we come with that. We have a full sheet of paper. This is basic white. I am going to stamp the design on it, and then we'll cut it and trim it to size. So really, when you use this technique, you get wind up with 4 cards, which are hiding right over here. And I will show them to you. Some, Harley got into my basket, and he didn't kill the envelope, but he definitely crinkled it. So we'll just trim that one this way. Depending on which part of the paper it is on, it will be where your design is. Will it be a landscape card, or will you prefer it in a portrait? And I have no idea which one we're going to do. So I'm just going to set these aside for today. Besides which, I'm going to have 3 inks open. I could write the video date in the corner of the kit envelope or a sticky note inside so it would be easier to get. Oh, that's true. That is a good idea. And since I have that, I will start doing that. Thank you, Gladys. Hi, Cindy Ford. How are you? We're going to have multiple inks open. Therefore, I don't want too much stuff around. So we're going to have the shaded spruce for our leaf. Our flower pattern is going to be Berry Burst. And we're going to, oh my goodness, there's a hair on that. Let's see if I can get that off without doing any damage to the pad. There it is. I removed it. Now removing it from my, there. And then for the little splotch, we're going to use Blackberry Bliss. And we can get started. I always like to start with, oh, thank you. I'm glad you like the cards. Okay. Just because I just like to make sure everything's working right. It is. See, I did a duck on here. You'll see the duck done on designer on the basic white. And I just kind of start around the middle, not exactly in the middle. And I just kind of bring it out. And there's no rhyme or reason to this. Probably want to change your, that's not good. Well, let's see if we can, nope, that's not good. So that one won't get used, that side. This one will make 3 cards. And I generally stamp off, we need a different paper than what's there. Because I'm going to make a mess. There, you need something large. Or maybe this will get used and I'll cover it up because remember, there's no mistakes in stamping. I might have forgotten that. Now, let me just clean my stamp. Looks like I got a little heavy-handed on the side. So we'll clean it all up. And let's go this way because I really do have kind of a juicy pad. It's really juicier than it should be. Oh, let's have some over here. And then, and you can always come back and put in more. So let's set that aside and go on to the second largest stamp. I start with the largest stamp, then go to the second largest, and I want to leave white space because I do like white space. Okay. We'll just put this one in. And I don't use shaded spruce a lot. I'm either brave or I'm foolhardy. Sometimes I think foolhardy. But I do like this technique with floral stamps, especially. And we'll just put this one in here because it looks like it fits. And let's run that off the side. And I'll put this one coming down. And let's pop this one in close and we'll see how that goes. This is just fun. I try not to think about it too much. I just look for open spaces, knowing that I'm going to come in with my splotch stamp. This one doesn't have one coming off of it. Let's do this one this way. And you know, if you go over it, your flower stamp, it is okay. Let's take this one and put it going up, just kind of out of nowhere. Now let's see what the splotch does. As splotch stamps go, this one is a little too symmetrical for me. It's like little soldiers all lined up in a row. I prefer something a little bit more wacky and wild, but it works. And we'll just take this one in here. And in this kind of card, I really do like white space. So I'm not going to get too carried away. Let's see, this one looks like it'll go in here. Do that there. Let's do a little coming off the... See, now you know why I went and grabbed myself some paper that I can stamp off on. Since we're going to try and use this, let me do one or two more stamps with the flower and the leaf. It really does dry a lot lighter, doesn't it? Let's take this one and then see if we can get some leaf coming in from the side. And then another splotch. So some will have more on it, some quarters, some will have less. And I think we're going to call that good. See, stamping is fun. And I'll wash those all off later, but I'm going to close these up. We do need to do a sentiment, and I'm probably going to do it in Blackberry Bliss. Or no, I'll probably do it in Shaded Spruce. Shaded Spruce is a color I don't use very often. So to start, because I know I'm going to cut them down, but I want to see what they're going to look like, I am just going to go at 5.5 and 4 1/4. So I've got four pieces that are two. I don't know, I pull this out so often. Oh, look, I'm colorful. Yes, I am colorful. I should probably wipe those off. Just to make sure I don't get anything on my white paper. Too bad I washed my hair this morning. I could wash my hair after this. It'll just have to wear off today. But that's a little bit better. Okay, let's go 5.5, which is half of our piece of basic white, and then 4 1/4. I am going to cut this down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. But this lets me see what's going on. I think that will make a nice portrait, as will this. Or this could be landscape. Maybe that'll be landscape. Portrait and definitely landscape. Probably this way. I like this one this way. But let's go ahead and do this one. So we're going to set these aside for later. The one thing that I wanted you to be aware of, and I wonder what it was. Oh, I'm not going to do kits this time since it was mostly stamping. I'm going to just make up the cards and send them this week. It would feel silly to send just cardstock. This is our layer. And out of that layer, the matte layer, I cut our piece to make the pretty. The inside is going to have a matte layer also, just because I thought it looked nice. And here's our card. Just a 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And it could go portrait or landscape, depending which we decide. So those are going to sit over here for a minute. Well, I'm taking the white off the top. So this is going to be 5 1/4. Oh, that's because this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So it's a very thin mat. So we'll take a little of the white off. And I think I'm taking a little bit of the splotches off. So here's our card. I will, oh, remember our discussion? It wasn't was it last week or the week before? About the glue press? I went ahead and bought one. So you will see it in action today from my sweet Petunia. Let's give this just a little bit of Not sure why I put that in the middle because I knew there was something in the middle here. But we'll just mount this right. There we are. And I'm going to want to have some ribbon. This is the ribbon that comes in the suite. It's Blackberry, Bliss, and Gold. And oh my, is it pretty. Yeah. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that gold sparkle. Let's see. Why is it not there? If I stay still, it almost looks like little sequins along the edge. It's so pretty. And I think I'm going to put my sentiment closer to the top than the bottom. Closer to the bottom than the top? No, I think maybe in the middle. We'll do the middle. So let's just put that, anchor that down with our seal. Wrap it around. And the ribbon scissors. Here they are. And since I can feel the sticky, I'm going to bring in my silicone mat. I think we're done with this one. So here's the silicone mat. And I want to pop that one. With dimensionals. And I'm going to kind of, doesn't have to be exactly even, but I want to just give that a little more reinforcement. I love saving cardstock by cutting out of the middle of my mat layer. Do you do that too? And we'll take this off. One of the things I want to show you is I made a swap card for in a private group with a friend, and I want to show it to you. Because I normally do flowers. I don't do a lot of cutesy things, little animals. But this time I did. All right. Let's see. That looks not quite right. Okay. Oh my goodness. Bad cardstock. But that's okay. It's a very narrow margin. So I don't think that'll even be noticeable. Okay, there's our margin. Could have been a little bit more centered, but I think it'll do. For the sentiment, I want to grab Berry Burst and white because we have to cut out two. Cindy, you use the middle sometimes? Yeah. I think it's good to save when we can. Sometimes when I'm designing, I don't. Because I have no idea what I'm doing. But once I've got it designed, then if I'm making more, I try to use it. This is Wishing I Were There to Give You a Hug. So let's ink that up. This is from the set Regal Flora. In fact, everything I'm using is from that suite. And I am just going to stamp it. And then I'm going to turn around. It's crooked, but that's okay because I can adjust this so that it's straight. I'm turning around. Let's see. I've got my cut and emboss machine right behind me. Thought that was smart of me to actually move it over closer. Let's see. And I'll show you what this does and why we have to cut it twice. We have our sentiment, which is exactly what we wanted. And then left in here is the frame. And I didn't want white on white. So I'm going to save this for later or for another project and cut. Actually, what I realized is I could, of that white, is a little smaller. If I had done it this way, I could have gotten all 4 out of one piece of cardstock, but I did not do that. So let's see if I'll get this one cut because I wanted the berry burst to be my frame. So I will take this piece and save it for another project. And take the berry burst out of the frame. And it does have holes, so you don't have to pull it and misshape in it, like I have done a couple. And then this fits in here. Now, how, you ask me, do we get it to stay there? I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, so let's go ahead and scoot back. Well, there's my tape. I just have this little Scotch tape dispenser. It would be really handy if I had one that could sit and, was heavy enough so I could just do this with it, but this one is not. And I don't use Scotch tape too much in crafting, but sometimes it just is the perfect thing. So I'm just going to hold that down right here, which, let's turn this around. And making sure it's fit nice and tight. You could use your tearing tape and make a little, like this. You can just pull off a little piece. You don't have to, you could do either way. So I will do both ways to show you. Let's see. That looks right. And just put this down. You don't have to take the backing off. You can just leave it there. But you do want to make it sure that it's well secured. And if you, that is not for tape. I think the shape of this die is really cool. And I was watching a commercial the other day, and in their graphics, they used this shape. And I thought, Stampin' Up! Is right there with what's current for today. And I'm going to do one more on this side, because it just, you don't want it to fall apart. And I'll do a little more trimming. I think I cut a hair in here. Not terribly unusual at my house. both Harley and I shed. Let's just pull that hair out. There. Okay, now it's together. And we can put dimensionals on it and put it on the front of our card. And let's see. It looks like this spot I didn't get anything, so let's put it right there. So it's a little bit of fussy work with this one. But it's well worth the effort because it's pretty. My tape caught a little bit of the cardstock, but it's on the back, so no one will see it. Oh, the middle one I didn't get. Wishing I were there to give you a hug. And I'm just going to kind of center it over that ribbon. Then we need something pretty. Well, first of all, I forgot, but there are flowers involved here. So here comes the Wink of Stella. And let's give the flowers a little sparkle. And really, once the ink is well dried, it doesn't spread around too much. And we will call that good. Oh, you know, one thing I did, and I didn't do it on this one. Let me go get it. A dark daffodil delight. And there was no center to these. But there's a little spot here that I think could use just a touch of yellow. And so I did it with my blends. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put this on. So let's take this. I don't want to cover up that flower. Maybe I'm going to put it on the top. It's hard because I've got those dimensionals right at the end. So maybe this one won't get the decorative piece. Let's use this on the inside. Haha. I'll just have this down here. Just looking cute. So let me just dot it with my glue. And I did fill this with our Tombow glue. And I wanted to let you, that's one other thing I wanted to tell you. When your Tombow glue is empty, it really isn't empty. I am surprised by the amount of glue. When I was filling this, I would take my Tombow and I would fill this container, and I would squeeze it and fill it until there was nothing coming out, and then I would take and put the lid back on it, and I bumped on the table with it, and I got almost as much glue that way. Well, maybe because my first one was a partial bottle, so I got as much glue doing that as I did just squeezing out what came out easily. So don't think your Tombow glue is done until it really is. Just go ahead and tap that. Let's see, where's one? I tapped pretty hard on my table, and it so much came out. I was actually surprised. Okay, let's put this on. I am not going to put a sentiment on it. Actually, that's kind of pretty because I don't know how much I want to write or how much you want to write, because this is probably one of the ones I'm sending you. I'm sending out. I think I got 2.5 bottles in there of the Tumble Glue. And then I realized, oh, I need to order more. And here we have, put it on the inside, so we've got a pretty outside, a pretty inside. Did I use a sentiment in here? I did not. What I did was that what I cut off, I just put it at the bottom. But I do like it with the matte. I didn't do that matte before, but I think that really sets off the inside. And I like this on it. Although I also liked it glued to this. So maybe I will do 2 on the other cards. 1 for the front, 1 for the back. And let's see, we've got our everything except our gems. And also in the suite are these pretty gems. They are the Regal Foiled Adhesive Backed Dots. They're pretty small, and I really like a smaller dot. Can you see how pretty they are? They've got a little gold in them. I think I am going to use this one. I think that's the berry burst looking one. So let's put some dots on it. Then we have to decorate the envelope. And then I have stuff to show you. Oh, I lost it. Well, fine. I wasted one. Sometimes I get impatient with these things. And I'm just going to keep them in the white because this one has a lot of white on it. So what do you think? Oh, well, does she like the map? Me too. I think it needed to be there on the inside. Now we need some flowers. Let's bring back some paper. So here's Berry Burst. You know, sometimes I can open them by just pressing on the spine, and sometimes I can't. But I'm glad it's working today, because it really is easy. Easier than forcing them to open. So we're going to put this one here. Oh, that was good. Didn't make a mess though. Let's go ahead and give it some yellow center. Just because we can. And shaded spruce, which really is a pretty color. It's a pretty green. And so I don't know why I forget I own it. And let's just, let's move that up a little. And maybe we'll do this one here. And maybe another flower. I don't think I did too badly there. Okay, pretty envelope, and pretty card with a pretty inside. I think we've got it. Yay! We're also going to close these up before I manage to make a terrible mess with them. So there we are. There's our card. 1 of 4. I'll make the other 3 later. But they'll look a lot the same, except there'll be an extra layer of pretty underneath it. So I wanted to show you what I've been up to. One of the fun things that I did is, it was for the swap I'm doing. It's a bench fold card. And I just thought this turned out so cute. So we have got love, hope, faith, and peace. And furry little critters in different colors. And this was inspired by my dog's toy box. Harley has lots of colorful toys, including a purple hippo, which I think is just adorable, and a pink lizard. Yeah, it's very colorful in his toy box. And so I thought, well, a little girl's room would be cute. So I made a bed, and then I cut out a bedspread, and I made little pillows, and I glued them on the sides and popped them in the middle so you can see that they're up. And then I just had fun coloring little critters. And I used the Fluffiest Friends and the Hearts and Hugs sets for my critters. And I colored them whatever color came into my mind. As you might see, Highland Heather and Fresh Freesia were some of my top colors, but I've got some soft sea foam, little pool party, Calypso Coral, and then on the bridge that holds the card together, I used the big swirl embossing folder. And then, of course, dragonflies and birds just seem to fit. And it folds this way flat to go into an envelope. And I found a pattern that said it would fit into a business size envelope. And I thought, great. And I didn't stop and think that that was not necessarily a US sized envelope. And so I didn't make the adjustment to 4 inches tall. So it's 4¼ inches tall. So I have now ordered special envelopes from Amazon. And they will be here soon. So I wanted to show you this before I got a chance to mail it off. But I just had fun with that one. And I used Unbounded Love for my little frames, for my picture frames. And Hope, Love, Faith, and Peace. And then this is what I planned to do. Remember this card that I got as Happy Mail? And I said I needed to figure it out so I could make one for us. And we could all make it together. And I just think it's really cute and adorable. And I really liked it. And so I got out my little charming duck pond. I started measuring, and I decided pretty peacock instead of lemon lime twist, because truly, I prefer that. And I wanted to, so there's my little duck with all his pretty colors. I wanted it to open this way instead of upside down. So I think I got that figured out. And I put it together, and it didn't fold correctly at the bottom. So I don't know what I did wrong, but I need to figure that out before we can make it together. So I will work on that. But it did work. It does fold flat. It can be mailed, and I really like it. I just think it's cute. But then I do like ducks. And I've got all kinds of scratchy little notes here with sizes, and obviously I did not do it correctly, however. So it's a work in progress. We will do it. We're just not going to do it today, and we probably are not going to do it next week. It'll take a little bit. Then I got some more mail. Oh, before that, I don't know if I showed you these. With some other three other demonstrators, we put on a Pacific Northwest demonstrator event. And so we're going to do that the end of October, the last Saturday in October. And these are 2 projects that got picked. They were mine. I've got a little matchbox with Hershey Nuggets in it. And I don't know if I told you, but as long as the Hershey Nugget is covered in pretty paper, I leave it alone. It's a very weird phenomenon. But in the suite, which is the Season of Elegance, let's see. It's here. It's close. There it is. There is this little die, and it makes the bow. Well, there's 4 pieces to make the bow. And it's very fun, and I think it turns out kind of cute. I like the little die for the sentiment. And so that's one of our projects. So if you want to learn how to make this, just let me know, and we'll do it one Facebook Live. And the other card that I made is this little double flap card. So it's got thinking of you with warm feelings, and I've got, I don't know, can you see? I tore paper for a snowbank, and then I covered it in Winkle and I'm going to put a second layer on. I used the pearlized enamel effects in white, but the green shows through. And so I'm going to put a second layer on and see if I can't make it be white. Does anyone have any expertise with that you have suggestions? Because I really don't think green snow is appropriate. And here's my inside. So that's why it's a double flap with the little card on the front. And then I just used the first and second, I think this has first, second, and third generation of the stamp with all the trees on it, which is very fun. So I'm excited about that. I have to get my tutorials written and in the document before Monday. But I still have a couple days, right? I'll get it done. And then this was my happy mail from a card swap, which I have not made my card yet for this card swap. I think I only need to make 6 or 7, and I don't know what I'm making. I'll figure it out. But here we have, I think when I did this before, it was called well, this doesn't look like a W. This looks like an M and maybe an N. But I think she called it a WV card when I made it. And that reminded me of the other card that I wanted to figure out, which is basically about the same. It's just got an extra cut. So we'll be making this one as soon as I get that figured out. Anyway, I think that's it. My goodness, I've taken so much of your time. Oh, thank you, Cindy. I have fun making cards. To me, it's just a joy to play. In fact, last night after I was so tired from all of the closet cleaning, I decided to sit down and make a card just because I needed just to relax. So anyway, I think that's it. I hope everybody has a great day. Oh, another sip of coffee. I do love having my little heater by my desk so that my coffee stays hot. And if you've ever thought about the glue press, I really like it. It sits on its own little cushion. You do have to use the empty glue bottle that comes with it. But it sits on its little cushion and it doesn't leak. And you can walk away and leave it and still have it work when it comes back. So and it's easy on the hands to apply the glue. Okay, I think that's it. Have a wonderful, wonderful. Oh, thank you for the lunch tomorrow. Yeah, we have a visiting speaker in our congregation, and we're providing lunch. A friend and I are providing lunch. She's making the clam chowder, and I think I am making the salad. But that's next on my list. I'm gonna go call her and see if we're still doing that. Where did I get this? I got it from My Sweet Petunia. They're the people who make the Misty stamp positioner. All right. Until next week, and it'll be Friday next week, I will see you. Happy crafting. Bye-bye, friends.